All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for coming today. My name is Brittany Hargrove. I'm the Public Information Officer for Marshall County, and today we wanted to be able to provide several very important updates as we are currently transitioning into more of a rebuilding focus in this disaster recovery. First thing I want to make sure we hit on one more time is that our hotline is still operational for everybody in Marshall County, and that phone number is 270-527-8657. We are again asking everyone to call into that hotline regardless of the extent or the amount of damage that you had, whether that is strictly to your property or whether that was to your home structure as well. We want to make sure that we are touching base with all of our residents to make sure that you are receiving access to all of the resources that you need, and we are here throughout this process. The hotline is answered Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30, and after hours you can leave a message and those calls are returned the next day. We want to make sure that people understand we know there are a lot of both state and federal assistance programs out there for those who are uninsured. And here locally, we are making sure that we are focusing on all of our residents regardless of your insurance status. There are still lots of programs, donated items, and volunteer services that are available to our residents who did have insurance. We want to make sure that we are connecting you with all of those resources as they are available. So please don't let that stop you from calling into the hotline. We want to make sure, again, that we are connecting you with the available resources. One thing I want to make sure we cover is that the SBA deadline to apply for the SBA loans is February the 10th, and the deadline to apply for the FEMA assistance is February 11th. We are still, even today, talking to multiple residents who have not filed for those programs yet. So we cannot stress this enough. That deadline is very quickly approaching. If you have not already applied for FEMA or with SBA, please make sure that you are taking the steps to do that immediately. If you have questions or if we can help you get you to the right places, the websites, the phone numbers, or the locations where those people can be accessed, again, you can call us on the hotline at 270-527-8657 and we can get you to the right places. We are also starting to go back through our database of residents that we have talked to. We have personally, through the hotline, spoken to close to 400 residents in Marshall County currently, and we are starting to go back through and make some follow-up calls to talk to, again, some of those people that we talked to early on in the process to get updates on their status, where they are currently living, what needs they may have that may have come up since the initial disaster happened. So if you are receiving calls from us, just know this is just another step that we are taking to make sure that our residents weren't just helped initially, but that we are here for you throughout this process as this continues as well. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Executive Kevin Neal to talk about some other updates.
Thank you, Brittany. I want to first say Marshall County, the outpouring of support that we've had from not only just donors but volunteers within our county has just been tremendous. We've been beating that drum and we want to recognize that. We obviously can't do this without the support of the community coming together. So I'm very proud, all of us are, with our community at this point. A few things I do want to touch on. The hotline. Call the hotline. We still have folks that have yet to call the hotline. It helps us to be able to touch base with citizens in our community so that we get to hear exactly what it is that your issues are. And the issues can be so many, and we can get you in the right place for the resources that are available. With that, I want to share with you just a brief story that happened with a citizen. As far as he lost everything, his family, they were living in a shed in the county, and when we went out and made contact with the gentleman, he's a disabled veteran. We found that he did go through the process. He didn't meet the prerequisites for FEMA, but he did for SBA. While he did that, we shared with him that there are other resources that can be provided to him and resources that he desperately needed. And in this case, a container home. So this family living in a shed, something that we can provide to them is a container home that is a little bit more sturdier. We all know that we just had a recent fatality in our community with a trailer. This container home is built specifically to live in. The utilities are tied into it, and his property fit that description. So we will be getting this individual and his family a container home so that he can live in the container home as he goes through the process of rebuilding his home. Those types of stories we want to share so that there are other people out there. We just visited another family today that fit the same scenario. One by one, we're finding that there are families out there that fit this situation and these scenarios, and there are resources there to help them. But you have to, I want to stress what Brittany said, you have to go through the FEMA process and the SBA process, and if you get a denial, that's fine. As we said before, that turns on other resources that could be available to you. So we encourage folks to go through that process. Another situation, we have volunteer groups in our communities. They're still here. We got volunteers out today at residents cleaning up debris. We have a group that is not going to be building homes, but they're bringing in folks who have specific skills, specific labor skills, that may be a carpenter, a master plumber. Those individuals, those types of skills are important for families as they try to rebuild. They come in, it's a Christian organization out of northern Kentucky. They come in, they're going to be here next week. They're going to go to about 10 to 20 sites and identify if these locations fit their scope. And if they do, the goal is they will coordinate, come in, and help those who are actually going to be rebuilding their homes. With that, we're asking nonprofit organizations that do construction, reach out to us. Call the hotline as well. It's not just for our survivors. If you're an organization that actually provides that type of service, call our hotline. We will then reach out to you and share with you how you can come into our community to help the citizens in our community that need that assistance. So we ask anyone that's in the nonprofit construction group wanting to come in and take part in rebuilding to reach out through our hotline. We know we've already reached out to some other organizations that do this. There's a lot of them out there. There are other disasters that they are currently involved in other states. So it is a collective effort, but we do need those construction groups that are volunteering to reach out to us. Building permits, we talked about this as far as safety permits. There was a period of time where our permit office would go out and they would do an inspection to make sure that it was safe to go into a building or a dwelling. That's something that we're going to look at as far as trying to identify a funding gap or even the county try to help with those costs. And then the community foundation, we've talked about that. There's been a lot of donations, not just from within the county, but from across the country, specifically for our region. That community foundation, I'm not going to steal Tony's thunder, but he'll get up and he'll talk about that. The benefit is that we have a subcommittee to review as the projects come through. And that review process is accountable for all parties involved. And once the subcommittee approves that and a project is selected and approved, then we can support families in the community that way, which is huge. We've all shared the story where the material cost for a rebuild for a resident in our community, the material cost, she was short about $20,000. And she had gone through the SBA, she had gone through the FEMA process, and the Community Foundation helped cover that funding gap. So those are the important things. Again, we want to come back with some stories. We hope to do another press release or press conference to show real stories. People in our community who have gone through this process, we want to hear from them so that if there's people out there, we're a prideful community. We were talking about that this morning. But we all need some form of assistance or help. And seeing your neighbor going through this process and getting assistance and getting help may be encouraging for that resident to step forward and come see us. So I just want to encourage everybody to keep faith in what we're doing. We're going to get through this together, but there are resources out there, and we're going to do our best to get that information out so that you can reach out to us. So without any further ado, Tony, if you want to come up and share what you're going to do for us.
Thank you, Judge. Just let me say that during a situation like this, oftentimes, you become introspective. You start looking at yourself and saying, what can we do better? Let me just tell you that Chris Dawkins and I, we're in a lot of different counties. We talk to a lot of different judges, and we talk to a lot of different fiscal courts. And right now, Marshall County is, you're kind of the belle of the ball. Everybody's kind of looking at you all and modeling themselves over what you've done, so you're to be commended on what you've done. Some counties aren't even at step one, okay? And they're kind of waiting to see what you all do. And you've done an excellent job kind of leading the pack in these sort of things. The Community Foundation, we know early on, we put a website up. Just said the Community Foundation of West Kentucky Disaster Relief Fund. And we just happened to be plugged into community foundations around the country. And they put that on a couple of websites, the Council on Foundations, the Southeastern Council on Foundations. And when I walked in the office on Monday morning, my phone was ringing off the wall. The first story I'll tell you was a gentleman that was 93 years old from Rockford, Illinois. He said, Mr. Watkins, I'm sending you 2 checks, one for $10,000, one for $100,000. You use it where you need it for the disaster relief. And I told Chris when she came in, I said, we better buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride. And money just started flowing in. Our mailbox was just stuffed every morning with envelopes, and the phones was ringing. We had phones in each ear, and people would say, I'm sending this, we're sending this, money for you to put into this fund. And we had to quickly put a structure together and a plan together because when you get inundated with, $5 or $6 million, it comes in about 10 days' time. You're thinking, what are we going to do with this kind of stuff? And people like Sue called us and, other organizations, and we started putting this plan together. And look, this is just phase one for us too. I mean, we're feeling our way through this. And we have partners up in Louisville that says we want to do a phase two, a long-term plan for you, and we think we can raise another $10 or $15 million to help with the long-term plans. And so what is your number one thing? And we said, we don't want to get in the logistics of supplies that are coming into these cities and stuff like this. We want to do housing, we want to do food, we want to do counseling for people. We want to see some life change take place. And so we focused in on these immediate housing needs, and that's how we got on the container homes. We got a call almost immediately from Dawson Springs where 22 of their teachers lost their homes in that city. And, the school system there is the largest employer in town. If they lost 22 of their teachers, they lost their largest employer in town. And so, we said, well, let's bring these container homes in. And they brought 4 in immediately and put the teachers in there. And, they were like ants crawling over those container homes. And you say container homes, that's just a semi-trailer, that you turn into a home. No, it's really not. I mean, those things, they're fixed up on the outside. There's siding on the outside. There's windows and doors, and inside there's sheetrock, and they're fully furnished. Got flat screen TVs and a nice bathroom and a kitchen and a washer and dryer hookup. And when we came into town, there were people sleeping on the ground underneath tarps. Make the comparison. Trailer, container home, fully furnished, free for 6 months, sleeping on the ground under a tarp. I mean, come on. We can figure this out. And so we got these young guys from Fisher, Indiana that are committed to us and committed to Dawson Springs and to Fulton County. And then next to Marshall County, they're going to produce all they can to take some of the hurt away from some of these people. And they're stepping out big time to get us as many as they can. They were with Senator Manchin yesterday in West Virginia. They met with the governor of the state today in Kentucky to try to unleash even more money to come and run through the Community Foundation down here to make sure there's funding available for that. And you can stay in those things free for 6 months. Then if we get those builders in here, we can transition into the long-term effect of those. But, I want you all to understand there are people all across this country that want to help. You know, you can't imagine what it's like. I mean, as soon as we set up the fund for Marshall County, that pretty much the next day, wasn't it, Chris, that the horse racing association, you know, ponied up another $100,000 for Marshall County. And when they hear about those things, it just opens the floodgates. Money starts coming in. I did a little blog type of thing, an interview yesterday with the people up in the Community Foundation out of Lexington, and they're running it through all their marketplaces in Lexington. And there'll be more money come from that. Cincinnati Community Foundation, they send money down to us. They don't know you people, you know, they really don't. But they know what you're going through, and they care about things like that. And these particular projects, they fall in love with those. And so, you know, you've got a lot of partners that you'll never see their face. You just know that they're standing behind you. And the other thing I want to say is just yesterday, Chris Dawkins, who's on our staff now at the Community Foundation, she's built a relationship with FEMA that she's going to be one of the resources for FEMA for this region. And she's going to start getting all the data from FEMA. We operate off of information. I mean, the more information we got, the better job we can do. So for the next 3 years, we're going to be working with FEMA, getting that information to become a clearinghouse, you know, for all this, because it's going to be a long-term effect. Then we're also partnered with the Red Cross, and we're going to do some, you know, more information for them and doing grants for nonprofits. As a community foundation, we can only give money to charities. We can't give it directly to individuals. So we have to find viable nonprofits or organizations like that to give money through to give it to individuals. We want to get money in the hands of those individuals too, whether it be through gift cards or whatever it is, because I think that psychologically that'll do a lot of good for those people. To be able to go out and buy their own clothes, to go out to the movies, to go out to a restaurant somewhere and say, I'm able to do this for myself instead of somebody else doing it for me. You know, so we've got a large plan in place, and we're starting to implement that. But we're just at step one ourselves. We know it's going to be a long-term effort to do this, and we have to have partners like the judge, like the county, Fulton County, Marshall County, Caldwell County, Hopkins County. I mean, we're just going through it systematically to work through it. But please understand that you do have a partner in the Community Foundation. I mean, I live here in Marshall County, you know, so this is my home. I want to see things done and done right. You know, working with Brittany's been fun, be able to work with her. You know, every day's a surprise with Brittany. But, you know, we Sue and I, that we come to know each other, we set up a fund for Sue to be able to work with us. But you've got to have those types of relationships that you feel comfortable with, that you can grow, that you know you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got this problem. How can we solve this problem? You know the answer that you're going to get back is ones you can trust and you can implement and help people in the long run. So, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing this relationship grow, and God bless you.
Thanks, Tony. Laurel, do you want to? Well, let's see if
You want to talk about debris or?
yeah, we can talk about debris. We did get the MOU from the state to do the state right-of-ways, so we're actually picking up the state's right-of-way. The last debris tech's last report, we had estimated over 500,000 cubic yards of debris in Marshall County, and it was 279,000 was the last report from debris tech as far as what we've picked up in the community. Obviously, tree trimming. We've got a lot of trees that they may be ripped and torn and still healthy today, but 3, 4, or 5 years from now, they're going to die, potentially fall into the right-of-way. So we got tree trimming work going on as well. And then living lands and water, a huge asset to our community. I know Lyon County obviously has a body of water that they were affected on their shores. Marshall County, we were affected on our shores with Kentucky Lake. But Living Lands and Waters is a nonprofit organization that is actually in our community picking the debris up out of the water. And the Community Foundation helped donate 2 lands, Living Lands and Waters. So they're doing the county a tremendous amount of work. We can all sleep at night knowing that they're out there, they're doing that. That's what they're organized for. They are passionate about cleaning up the waterways, so it's a huge advantage for us to have them in our community. Last time we did a press release, I asked, go to the webpage and make a contribution to that organization. Chad will greatly appreciate it, but they will be here for a while. A concern of the fiscal courts is as the summer, spring months start to warm up, boaters are going to be out on the waterway, and we want to try to get as much of that debris out of the water as we can. And I just, you got some?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we get into any questions that anybody has, we got a few more things. So,
A couple of more things I want to hit on. First of all, going back to the Community Foundation of West Kentucky that Tony was talking about, if there are any future donors out there who want to get involved, you can visit cfwestky.org. Again, that is cfwestky.org. They have it available to make online donations, or there are instructions for being able to mail in donations as well. You can make that as a general donation, or you can specify that the donations stay in Marshall County. So both of those options are available to you on cfwestky.org. Also, back on the hotline, another service that we have been offering through that hotline is to kind of help in coordinating the debris pickup. We are urging everybody, this is kind of a last call, to please get that debris out to the roadway. That needs to be within 10 feet of the roadway in the right-of-way. That can be construction debris. It can also be vegetation. We do ask that those two types of debris continue to be separated and placed within 10 feet of the roadway. We are looking at maybe a couple of more weeks of having this debris pickup available, and we want to make sure that as many of our residents are taking advantage of that as possible. If you have a lot of debris out there, please call into the hotline. We have volunteer groups that are here that want to help, that want to work, and we can help get them sent out to your residents to help get that debris cut up and moved out to the roadway for you. So don't feel like you have to do this by yourself. We have so many wonderful groups that are here to help, and we just want to, again, be able to connect the dots on those resources to be able to get them out there to you. One other thing on the hotline, I want to make sure that our Marshall County residents know how much of an asset this is to you. There are so many counties that we get calls from daily that wish that this was available in their county. This is not, manned out of state or anywhere else. These are local people here from Marshall County, and I have got an amazing team that is working that hotline phone, and they are not just plugging in your information. They are really doing research on their own, and they care about you all and want to make sure that these people are taken care of. So they're really going that extra step to make sure that our residents are taken care of and have absolutely everything that they need. So I can't say enough about the group that we have working that hotline. They're absolutely amazing. Again, please don't feel like you are asking for a handout by calling the hotline. People want to help, and you can even call and report your damage and tell us that you don't want any assistance right now. That's absolutely fine. We just want to make sure that we know that you're okay and that we know that we have at least shared with you the resources that are available. Okay. Anything else from you? Okay.
if anybody has any questions.
Any questions from anyone? Okay, good deal. Thank you
Appreciate
all
y'all
so
being
much.